Here's the scene. It's 2 a.m., the wind is howling like a freight train outside, and your house is plunged into darkness. The power's been out for 12 hours, and the temperature just nosedived below freezing. Your once reliable thermos is ice cold, and the thermostat on the wall completely useless. The only sound is the eerie crackle of ice forming on the windows. You pull another blanket over your kids, trying to keep them warm, but deep down you know it's not enough. I'm Michael, and I've been prepping for over a decade. Let me tell you, the harshest lesson I've learned is this. When the power goes out, comfort vanishes faster than you think. Within hours, your cozy home turns into a survival zone. And here's the cold, hard truth. Your expensive backup generator, it's worthless when the fuel runs out. Those flashy winter survival kits you grabbed online, most of them are just overpriced junk. But here's the thing. The Amish have been thriving off-grid for generations. No electricity, no central heating, and yet they endure brutal winters with ease. They've mastered simple, practical methods that don't rely on modern conveniences. And if you think this can't happen to you, just look at Texas in February 2021. Millions left freezing in the dark, pipes bursting, families huddling in cars just to survive. This winter, power grids are already stretched thin. It's not a matter of if, it's when. That's why today, I'm sharing 9 Amish-inspired tips that could save your life during a winter power outage. These are practical, low-cost methods, most under $50, that don't require electricity and can make the difference between freezing and staying alive. And tip 7, it's a game changer, and you probably already have what you need sitting in your kitchen drawer. Don't wait for the next storm to catch you off guard. Learn these tips now, while supplies are still available and prices haven't skyrocketed. Because when the grid goes down, survival isn't about convenience. It's about preparation. And the time to prepare, it's not tomorrow. It's today. The art of zone heating, creating a warm haven. When the power goes out and the temperature plummets, most people instinctively pile on layers, grab every blanket in sight, and hope for the best. But here's the thing, those efforts only go so far. The Amish, they don't just react to the cold, they outsmart it. Their secret? Zone heating. It's a simple, effective strategy that transforms a freezing house into a manageable, warm haven. Instead of wasting precious energy trying to heat an entire home, the Amish focus on one room, usually the bedroom or living area, and turn it into a heat zone. Think of it as creating a cozy tent within your house. This method not only conserves energy, but also ensures that the warmth you generate stays where you need it most. Here's how you can do it for under $30. Start by sealing off the room you want to heat. Use draft stoppers made from rolled-up towels or inexpensive foam strips to block cold air from sneaking in under doors. Hang a thermal curtain or even a thick blanket over windows to trap heat. If you don't have thermal curtains, a $20 set from Walmart or a thrift store will do the trick. Lay down rugs or old blankets on bare floors to prevent heat from escaping through the ground. But here's where most people go wrong. They leave gaps. Even the smallest crack under a door or around a window can let cold air seep in and warm air escape. The fix? Be meticulous. Double-check every door, window, and vent in your heat zone. Use towels, duct tape, or even plastic sheeting to seal off any openings. Curtains should be drawn tight, and rugs should cover as much floor space as possible. Want to take it a step further? Create a warm box within your heat zone. Hang a thick blanket or quilt across the doorway to your chosen room, effectively creating a second layer of insulation. Place your heat source, whether it's a candle heater, a small propane heater, or even a hot water bottle near a wall or heavy furniture. This setup allows the thermal mass to absorb and radiate heat back into the room, keeping it warmer for longer. The beauty of zone heating is its simplicity. It doesn't require fancy gadgets or expensive equipment, just a bit of planning and some basic materials. And in a real outage, it's not about heating your entire house. It's about creating one controlled, insulated pocket of warmth where you and your family can stay safe and comfortable. One room, one strategy. Total control. 2. The cast iron stove. A timeless source of heat and comfort. Picture this. The wind is howling outside, the power's been out for hours, and your electric space heater is as useless as your dead phone. But in the corner of the room, there's a soft orange glow coming from a small cast iron stove. The steady crackle of burning wood fills the air, and a kettle gently hisses as it steams on top. That's not just heat, it's comfort, and it's a method the Amish have relied on for generations. While most people scramble for electric blankets or propane heaters during a power outage, the Amish turn to something far more reliable: wood. A good cast iron stove doesn't just heat a room, it radiates deep, steady warmth that lasts for hours even after the fire has burned down. It's a heat that feels alive, wrapping around you like a warm embrace. But here's the secret that makes this setup even better: the kettle of water on top. As the stove heats the room, the kettle releases moisture into the air, preventing the dry heat that can leave you with cracked lips, a sore throat, and irritated skin. This small detail makes a huge difference, especially during long, cold nights. Now you don't need to spend a fortune to get started. Used cast iron stoves can often be found for as little as $200 on local marketplaces or classified ads. Newer models can range from $500 to $1,000 depending on the size and features. But here's the catch: installation matters. Improper venting or clearances can be dangerous, so it's crucial to follow modern venting guides or have your setup inspected by a professional. Once your stove is ready to go, the key to efficient heating is building the right kind of fire. Most people make the mistake of overstuffing their stove with big logs, which leads to low oxygen levels, smoky fires, and a buildup of creosote. The Amish method: smaller, hotter fires. Use kindling and smaller logs to create a fire that burns cleanly and efficiently. This not only produces more heat, but also reduces the risk of chimney fires. For an extra layer of efficiency, place a small grate inside the stove and use a cast iron kettle or Dutch oven to radiate heat. The thermal mass of the cast iron absorbs the heat from the fire and releases it slowly, keeping the room warm even after the fire dies down. It's a quiet, steady source of heat that doesn't rely on electricity or noisy generators. When the power fails, that soft orange glow from a cast iron stove isn't just about survival, it's about peace. It's a reminder that even in the harshest conditions, there's a way to stay warm, safe, and comfortable. 3. Retained heat cooking. The Amish secret to fuel efficiency. Imagine this: you're standing over a tiny camp stove watching a pot of rice boil. The fuel canister is running low. The cold is biting at your fingers, and you're anxiously calculating how much longer the flame will last. Most people would panic. But the Amish, they'd simply smile, turn off the flame, and tuck that pot into a box full of hay. This is the genius of retained heat cooking, also known as a haybox or fireless cooker. It's one of the oldest, most fuel-efficient cooking methods ever invented, and it's a game changer during power outages. The concept is simple: bring your food to a rolling boil, seal it in an insulated container, and let the residual heat finish the cooking process. No electricity, no gas, no wasted fuel, just pure thermal magic. Here's why it works so well. Once your pot of food reaches a rolling boil, it's already loaded with enough heat to finish cooking. The key is to trap that heat and prevent it from escaping. According to energy-saving studies, retained heat cookers can save up to 50% of total cooking energy. That's not just a small number, it's the difference between running out of fuel in a week or stretching your supplies for a month. The best part: you can build a retained heat cooker for almost nothing. All you need is a cardboard box, some old blankets or towels, and a bit of creativity. Line the box with insulation, place your boiling pot inside, and cover it tightly. For added efficiency, use straw, foam, or even crumpled newspaper as insulation. Cost range from $0 to $30 depending on what materials you already have at home. But here's the mistake most people make: they put the pot in too soon. If the food isn't at a full rolling boil, it won't have enough heat to finish cooking, leaving you with half-cooked meals and wasted effort. The trick is to boil your food for 5 to 10 minutes before sealing it in the cooker. Pack the insulation tightly around the pot, leaving no gaps for heat to escape. Want to level up? Use a soft cooler lined with old quilts or straw for even better heat retention. For smaller portions, a thermal lunch bag with towels works surprisingly well. This method is perfect for cooking rice, beans, soups, and stews. Anything that benefits from slow, even cooking. Retained heat cooking isn't just about saving fuel, it's about maximizing every resource you have. In a power outage when every BTU of energy counts, this simple, quiet method can mean the difference between running out of supplies and staying prepared. Because when fuel is life, efficiency isn't just smart, it's survival. 4 rocket mass heaters, turning every stick of wood into hours of warmth. Imagine this: the temperature outside is dropping fast. Your woodpile is shrinking, and you're staring at your stove wondering how long it'll last. Most people would just toss in more logs and hope for the best. But the Amish, they've mastered a smarter way to stretch every piece of firewood. Enter the rocket mass heater, a marvel of efficiency and ingenuity. A rocket mass heater, or RMH, is a heating system that burns a small, super-hot fire in a specially designed chamber. The heat generated is then stored in a thermal mass, like a cob bench, brick wall, or masonry bed. Once the fire burns out, the thermal mass continues to radiate warmth for 10, 12, or even 24 hours. It's like turning your furniture into a giant rechargeable battery for heat. Here's the kicker. Rocket mass heaters are incredibly efficient. They can retain 70–80% of the heat they generate, while using a fraction of the wood required by a traditional stove. This is how Amish families make their limited firewood supplies last through the harshest winters. It's not just about staying warm, it's about doing it sustainably. Building a rocket mass heater can be surprisingly affordable. A DIY setup might cost anywhere from $300 to $1,000, depending on the materials you use. If you're not the DIY type, pre-built kits or professional installations start at around $1,250 and go up from there. While the upfront cost might seem steep, the long-term savings in firewood and heating efficiency make it worth every penny. But here's the catch. Building a rocket mass heater isn't a weekend project you can slap together without preparation. The most common mistake people make is skimping on proper refractory materials or messing up the draft design. A poorly built system can choke the fire, produce smoke, or even become a safety hazard. If you're new to this, start small. Build a test unit outdoors or in a garage to get a feel for how it works. Pay attention to the draw, the sound, and the burn. When you hear that signature rocket roar, you'll know you've got it right. Once you've mastered the basics, you can scale up to a full indoor system. The beauty of a rocket mass heater is its simplicity and efficiency. It's not just a heater, it's a self-reliant system that turns every stick of wood into hours of steady, comforting warmth. When the power's out and the wind is howling, this isn't just survival, it's smart, sustainable living. 5. Straw bale insulation. Nature's answer to winter draft. When the wind is howling and the cold is creeping in through every crack and crevice, the Amish turn to a solution that's as old as farming itself. Straw bales. These simple, unassuming bundles of straw are one of the most effective and affordable ways to insulate your home during a winter power outage. Straw bales work like nature's insulation. They're thick, breathable, and incredibly good at trapping heat. For generations, Amish families and rural farmers have used straw bales to line the exteriors of homes, barns, and even chicken coops. The result? A dramatic reduction in cold air infiltration and a noticeable boost in indoor warmth. Here's how you can use straw bales to winter-proof your home. Start by identifying the areas where cold air is most likely to seep in. Beneath windows, around exterior doors, or along the north-facing wall of your house. Stack the bales tightly in these areas to create a barrier against the wind. For added protection, cover the bales with a tarp, plastic sheeting, or even old feed sacks to keep them dry. Moisture is the enemy here. Wet straw can lead to mold, but dry straw is insulation gold. The cost? Straw bales are incredibly affordable. As of 2025, they typically sell for $9 to $10 each at farm supply stores, with prices rarely exceeding $15 even in pricier regions. For under $100, you can insulate your home's foundation, create a windbreak wall, or even build a temporary shelter for outdoor equipment. One common mistake people make is pressing the bales directly against the siding of their home. This can trap moisture and cause long-term damage. Always leave a small air gap or use a waterproof barrier to protect your walls. And here's a pro tip. Use straw bales to create a windbreak tunnel around your main entrance. This simple addition can cut down on the icy gusts that rush in every time you open the door. Straw bales may not look glamorous, but they're incredibly effective. They scale easily, work for a variety of applications, and don't require any electricity or fuel. When the grid goes down and the cold starts biting, a few $10 straw bales can make all the difference. It's a rustic solution, but one that works when you need it most. 6 hot water bottles and heated bricks. Old school warmth that works. It's midnight. The power's been out for hours and your room feels like a freezer. You've layered up, tucked in, and maybe even pulled your hat down over your ears. But that deep chill still seeps in. Now imagine this. You slide your feet under the covers, and there's a pocket of steady, soothing warmth waiting for you. No electricity, no noise, just comfort. That's the genius of hot water bottles and heated bricks. A timeless Amish trick for staying warm through brutal winters. The concept is simple. Heat water over your stove or wood fire, pour it into a sturdy rubber or silicone bottle, and slip it into your bed before you get in. Alternatively, you can heat a brick, wrap it in cloth, and use it the same way. The heat radiates for hours, especially when insulated under blankets, creating a cozy microclimate that makes even the coldest nights bearable. The best part, it's incredibly affordable. Traditional hot water bottles range from $5 to $30, depending on size and quality. You can find them at Walmart, Amazon, or even local drugstores. Heated bricks, on the other hand, cost next to nothing if you already have bricks lying around. Just make sure they're clean and free of cracks before use. Here's a quick word of caution. Avoid electric hot water bottles or models with questionable safety records. Stick with plain rubber or silicone bottles and inspect them for cracks or wear before every use. For added safety, slip your hot water bottle into a thick sock or wrap it in flannel to prevent burns and extend the heat. Heated bricks follow the same principle. Wrap them tightly in cloth to avoid direct contact with your skin, and place them at the foot of your bed or under your blankets. They may not look fancy, but when the power's out and the temperature's dropping, they're worth their weight in gold. This method isn't just about staying warm, it's about staying comfortable. When the grid goes down and every breath turns to fog, a simple hot water bottle or heated brick can feel like pure luxury. It's a reminder that sometimes the simplest solutions are the most effective. 7. Body heat and layering. The ultimate survival strategy. When the house feels like an icebox and every draft feels like an icy knife, there's one thing that never fails: your own body heat. The Amish understand this better than anyone. While most people focus on heating their homes, the Amish focus on heating themselves. It's a strategy that's as simple as it is effective. The first step is proper layering. Forget cotton, it holds moisture and steals warmth. Instead, start with a wool or synthetic base layer that wicks moisture away from your skin. Add insulating layers like fleece or flannel, and top it off with a heavy quilt or jacket. Amish quilts, by the way, aren't just beautiful, they're built for survival. Thick batting, tight stitching, and natural fibers make them incredibly effective at trapping heat. But layering is just the beginning. The Amish also use clever heat traps to maximize warmth. One of their best tricks: bed tents. By draping quilts or heavy blankets over a simple frame like a few chairs or a clothesline, you can create a microclimate that traps your body heat. Add a hot water bottle or heated brick, and you've got a cozy, insulated space that's perfect for sleeping. Here's a little-known Amish trick. Rotate head to toe when sharing a bed. This evens out warm zones and helps everyone sleep more comfortably. And don't forget your head. A significant amount of body heat is lost through your head at night. A simple knit cap can make a world of difference. The beauty of this strategy is its simplicity. It doesn't rely on electricity, fuel, or fancy gadgets. Just smart layering, clever insulation, and a bit of common sense. When the grid goes down and the cold starts creeping in, your best source of warmth is the one you already have: your own body heat. 8. Safe combustion heating, warmth without the risk. When the power's out and the cold starts creeping in, it's tempting to grab anything that burns to stay warm. But here's the hard truth. Fire is both a lifesaver and a potential killer. The Amish have always understood this balance. They heat their homes with fire, but they do it with respect, proper venting, and constant awareness. It's a lesson every modern prepper needs to learn. Let's talk about one of the smartest emergency heating tools you can own: an indoor-rated propane heater. A great example is the Mist Heater Buddy F23 2000, which you can find for around $90 at Home Depot or similar retailers. This compact, dependable heater is specifically designed for indoor use, with built-in safety features like carbon monoxide, CO, and oxygen sensors. If oxygen levels drop too low, the heater automatically shuts off, making it one of the safest options for emergency heating. Performance-wise, this little powerhouse can heat about 225 square feet. Perfect for a small living room or an insulated bedroom. It runs on 1-pound propane cylinders, but for longer outages, you can connect it to larger tanks using an adapter. This flexibility makes it a go-to choice for preppers who want a reliable heat source during extended blackouts. But here's the catch. Even the safest heater isn't safe without proper ventilation. The EPA and indoor air quality experts are clear. Carbon monoxide is silent, invisible, and deadly. To use a propane heater safely, you must crack a window or door slightly to allow fresh air to flow. And don't even think about skipping the carbon monoxide detector. Treat it as an essential part of your setup, not an optional accessory. Fresh batteries in your CO detector are just as important as fuel for your heater. Now, let's address some common mistakes. One of the most dangerous errors people make is trying to use outdoor equipment like barbecues, camp stoves, or charcoal grills indoors. These are not designed for indoor use and can quickly fill your home with toxic gases. Stick to heaters explicitly labeled as indoor safe, and make sure they have features like an oxygen depletion sensor, ODS, and a tip-over shutoff. Here's a pro tip. Before winter hits, take your propane heater outside and practice using it. Light it, extinguish it, and get comfortable with the process. This 10-minute drill can save you from fumbling with cold hands during an actual outage. And don't forget to stock up on propane. Keep at least one spare 1-pound cylinder stored in a cool, dry place. It's cheap insurance for when you need it most. The Amish rely on wood stoves and vented heating systems, but the principle is the same. Heat smart, vent right, and always prioritize safety. Because staying warm means nothing if you don't stay breathing. When the grid goes down, safe combustion heating isn't just a luxury. It's a life-saving necessity. 9. Cast iron thermal mass. The timeless heat source. When it comes to survival tools, most people think of high-tech gadgets or rechargeable devices. But the Amish know better. One of the simplest, smartest, and most versatile tools for winter survival isn't electronic or fancy. It's cast iron, heavy, durable, and built to last generations. Cast iron is more than just cookware. It's a thermal battery that can keep you warm when everything else fails. Here's how it works. Cast iron has incredible heat retention properties. Once heated, it holds warmth for hours, radiating slow, steady heat into your space. The Amish have long used this to their advantage. Not just for cooking, but as a portable heat source. It's a method that's as practical as it is ingenious. The setup is simple. Heat a Dutch oven, skillet, or large cast iron pot on a stove or over a small fire. Once it's thoroughly heated, not glowing, just warm, carefully move it using gloves or tongs. Place it on a trivet, stone, or thick tile to protect surfaces, and wrap it in towels or blankets. This creates a portable heat source that can take the chill out of a small room or even warm your bedding area. The beauty of cast iron lies in its versatility. Not only can you use it for cooking, but it's also perfect for retained heat cooking, like a haybox. And during a blackout, it doubles as a radiant heater. In cold zones, some people even place heated Dutch ovens near their beds, wrapped securely in towels or an insulated box, for gentle lasting warmth throughout the night. Cost-wise, cast iron is incredibly affordable. Most skillets, Dutch ovens, or griddles range from $20 to $100, and they last a lifetime. You can find them new or used, and even rusty pieces can be restored with a little oil and heat. It's a one-time investment that pays off in countless ways. But there's one critical safety note. Never place hot cast iron directly on bedding or flammable materials. Always use a protective base and wrap it securely, prevent burns. And here's a pro tip. Keep 2 cast iron pieces in rotation, one for heating and one for cooking. Swap them out throughout the day to maximize every bit of fire or stove heat. Cast iron isn't just a tool, it's a survival strategy. While others scramble for battery-powered heaters or disposable hand warmers, you'll be relying on centuries-old thermal science. Simple, durable, and endlessly reliable, cast iron is a testament to the power of low-tech solutions. When the lights go out and the cold sets in, cast iron doesn't just cook your food, it keeps you warm. It's a reminder that sometimes the best survival tools are the ones that have been around for generations. Because when the grid fails, iron still holds the heat. 10. Emergency heat reflectors. Amplify every bit of warmth. When the power's out and every ounce of heat matters, the Amish rely on simple, effective methods to make the most of what they have. One of their most underrated tricks: heat reflectors. These ingenious tools don't generate heat. They amplify and redirect it, making your heat source work harder without burning extra fuel. Here's how it works. Heat reflectors are made from materials that bounce radiant heat back into your living space. Think of them as mirrors for warmth. The most common and affordable option is aluminum foil, which is both lightweight and highly reflective. By placing a heat reflector behind your stove, heater, or even candles, you can direct more warmth into the room instead of letting it escape into the walls. To create your own heat reflector, all you need is a piece of cardboard and some aluminum foil. Wrap the foil around the cardboard, shiny side out, and position it behind your heat source. If you're using a wood stove, place the reflector against the wall behind it to prevent heat from being absorbed by the wall. For smaller heat sources like candles or oil lamps, you can use a smaller reflector to focus the warmth where you need it most. But don't stop there. Heat reflectors can also be used to insulate windows and doors. By placing foil-covered cardboard in your windows, you can reflect heat back into the room while blocking cold drafts. This is especially effective at night when the temperature drops and heat loss through glass becomes a major issue. Want to take it a step further? Combine your heat reflector with a thermal mass. For example, place a large, flat rock or a brick in front of your heat source to absorb warmth. The reflector will bounce heat back into the room, while the thermal mass slowly releases it over time. It's a double-layered approach that maximizes efficiency. The beauty of heat reflectors is their simplicity. They're cheap, easy to make, and incredibly effective, and in a winter power outage, when every degree of warmth counts, they can make a noticeable difference. It's a small effort with a big payoff, exactly the kind of practical solution the Amish have relied on for generations. 11 DIY insulated shelters. Create a microclimate anywhere. When the temperature drops and the grid goes down, staying warm isn't just about heating your home, it's about creating a space where you can retain as much body heat as possible. The Amish have long understood the value of insulated shelters, and their methods can be adapted to create a microclimate anywhere, even in the harshest conditions. The concept is simple. Instead of trying to heat an entire room, focus on creating a smaller insulated space within it. This could be as basic as a blanket fort or as advanced as a DIY tent made from thermal materials. The goal is to trap your body heat and create a warm, enclosed environment that's easier to maintain. Start with the basic. Use heavy blankets, quilts, or even sleeping bags to create walls and a roof for your shelter. Drape them over a sturdy frame, chairs, a table, or even a clothesline can work. The key is to make the space as airtight as possible, while still allowing for some ventilation to prevent condensation. For added insulation, line the inside of your shelter with reflective materials like mylar blankets or aluminum foil. These materials are excellent at trapping radiant heat and can make a significant difference in how warm your shelter feels. If you don't have mylar blankets, even a layer of plastic sheeting or bubble wrap can help. Now, let's talk about the floor. Cold air sinks. So, insulating the ground is just as important as insulating the walls and roof. Lay down rugs, blankets, or even a layer of straw to create a barrier between you and the cold floor. If you're using a sleeping bag, place it on top of this insulated layer for maximum warmth. Want to supercharge your microclimate? Add a heat source like a hot water bottle, heated brick, or even a small candle heater. Just make sure to follow all safety precautions, especially when using open flames. Place your heat source near the center of the shelter and let the insulated walls trap the warmth. The beauty of a DIY insulated shelter is its versatility. You can set it up in any room, and it's perfect for families or groups who need to share warmth. It's also a great option for conserving fuel, as you'll need far less energy to heat a small enclosed space than an entire house. In a winter power outage, this simple strategy can mean the difference between shivering through the night and sleeping comfortably. 12. The power of layered windows. Stop heat loss in its tracks. When it comes to winter survival, windows are often the weakest link. Even the best insulated homes lose a significant amount of heat through glass, especially during a power outage when your heating system isn't running. The Amish, however, have a simple yet effective solution: layered window insulation. By adding multiple layers of protection, you can dramatically reduce heat loss and keep your living space warmer. The first step is to seal any draft. Use weather stripping, caulk, or even rolled-up towels to block cold air from sneaking in around the edges of your windows. This alone can make a noticeable difference, but it's just the beginning. Next, add a layer of plastic sheeting or bubble wrap to the inside of your window. Plastic sheeting is widely available at hardware stores and is easy to install with double-sided tape. Bubble wrap, on the other hand, is a great option if you're on a budget. Simply spray a light mist of water on the window, press the bubble wrap against the glass, and it will stick in place. Both options create an insulating barrier that traps heat inside while blocking cold air. For even more insulation, hang heavy curtains or thermal drapes over your windows. These act as a second layer of defense, preventing heat from escaping and cold air from entering. If you don't have thermal curtains, you can use blankets, quilts, or even large towels. Just make sure they cover the entire window and extend a few inches beyond the edges for maximum effectiveness. Want to take it a step further? Add a reflective layer to bounce heat back into the room. Aluminum foil or mylar blankets work well for this purpose. Attach them to the inside of your curtains or drapes, shiny side facing the room. This not only helps retain heat, but also amplifies the warmth from any heat source in the room. Finally, don't forget about the outside of your window. If you have access to straw bales, stack them against the exterior walls beneath your windows to block cold winds. You can also use exterior-grade plastic sheeting to create an additional barrier against the element. Layered window insulation is one of the most cost-effective ways to retain heat during a winter power outage. It's easy to implement, requires minimal materials, and can make a significant difference in how warm your home feels. The Amish have been using similar methods for generations, and their practicality and effectiveness are hard to beat.